r/AskReddit, tattoo artists of Reddit who have refused a client's request for a specific tattoo. What was the tattoo? And why did you refuse to do it? I'd just like to publicly thank the tattoo artist who in 1988, on my 18th birthday, refused to tattoo a pot leaf on my leg. You are a saint. Managed a shop for a while. Some dude wanted his girlfriend's initials on his taint and requested a female artist to do it. We kindly denied it because A, not 100% sure how that would heal, and didn't want to deal with him coming back with issues trying to pin it on us, and B, our only female artist didn't want to go near some random dude's taint. She breaks up with him with new girlfriend her. Why does your taint have KL on it? Him starts crying. Colossal loser. Best chuckle I've had in a while. Thanks. I needed that today. Friend who is a tattoo artist says she mostly turns down drunk 18-year-olds. A girl came into the shop and was smashed. Actually laid down on the floor and screamed, but I went my nose pierced right NOWWWW. Also turned away a wasted mother/daughter duo. That time, the drunk mother argued she's not drunk. I'm her mother. Lady, you can't sign a permission slip to make someone sober. She's not drunk. I'm her mother dead. The Hollis new remix. Classic. From my friend that does tattoos, he turned down more request to do butthole tats than he ever thought he'd have to. Lord of the Rings ring around their butthole. No thanks. Is it secret? Is it safe? Hold out your hand. Frodo, it's quite cool. In fact, use your tongue, less chance of the evil transferring. My wife is a tattoo apprentice, and they turn down people all the time. Usually one of the following. Obviously underage, usually with angry mother in tow demanding they do it anyway. They want a face or hand tattoo as a first tattoo. They want something that can't be done, like a massively detailed image, but in a 1-inch square area. Something generally offensive. Like the guy who wanted Party Girl and Frank, because his drinking buddies called him Frankie. Butthole tattoos. Most people have trouble showering for a standard tattoo. It's not worth it. Drunk/drugged out. Happens a lot. Sometimes people get hammered or high so they can tolerate the pain better. But that's a big no on informed consent. That is not worth the liability to the studio. I was ballsy getting a forearm tattoo as my first one. I can't imagine ever getting a face tattoo the first go around. Or honestly ever. I ended up getting my first one on my inner forearm. I wanted it on my foot and the artist explained why he wouldn't do that. It will fade, stretch, and generally look bad in a few years. I appreciated him explaining the why to me. I genuinely didn't know and have seen plenty of people with foot tattoos. So I switched to forearm instead, and he was really pleased with that decision and told me it was better than my back or shoulder, since I'll get to see it. Sometimes it's a lack of knowledge that can be cured by sharing information. One of my friends wanted a tattoo of a single dot on his arm, which would basically be indistinguishable from a freckle. The guy politely refused and talked him out of it by bringing up that he'd still have to charge him like $40 just for using a needle. That's not a bad flat rate. Where I live it's around $100 on average. I've heard $80 up to $120 just for the needle to hit your skin. FFS. I've never gotten a tattoo and that does seem steep. But it's also something I'd never want to cheap out on if I get a tattoo. I got my first and only tattoo just after marrying my husband 30 years ago. My tattoo artist tried to dissuade me from getting my husband's name tattooed in the design. When I insisted, he said fine, but just remember, love lasts forever, but a tattoo lasts 6 months longer. I'll never forget that advice. My parents had been married 10 years when my mom got a tattoo with my dad's name, and even then her artist asked if she was sure. I wish them the very best. So went in to get our oldest son's name on his back. Super awesome artist made it clear she only does names of kids and dogs because she doesn't want to have to cover a good tattoo in 2 months if things don't work out. Thought it was funny as hell. That so had to pull up a pic of our kid to get it done. What about cats and other pets? As a cat lover, I feel highly discriminated. Gets home after getting cat's name tattooed. Cat, we need to talk. Apostrophe. My artist who is a friend has had a few rough ones, but the one he turned away was a guy that wanted waves I believe on his dick. Which for it to look right the guy would have to be hard the whole time, and he told him no. He also does not recommend tattooing your own legs. Nothing gets you hard like getting stabbed 1000x in the dick with a needle. /r/Usanami explained. Not a tattoo artist myself, but my tattoo artist friend says she automatically turns away all hand, face and neck tattoos unless the client is already heavily tattooed. Her reason is that she doesn't want the backlash of future regret due to job stopper tattoos. Basically my policy. I won't screw up someone's life and job chances on a one-off decision. If they are already covered in tattoos, either their profession doesn't care or they've long since sailed that ship. I'm technically covered in ink, but most people don't realize it. I have multiple underhand tattoos, and before I got one of my palms done the artist asked if I've been tattooed before. Once I started showing him all my tattoos he was shocked how many I actually have. They're all spread out, some with great detail, some basic, but by looking at me, I'm just your young, 30 actually, small blonde girl who probably has an infinity symbol somewhere. I don't assume with anyone honestly. I just want to make sure I'm not gonna have someone angry slandering my name. Usually some casual conversation that's part of asking how they want their design reveals those who are tattooed and those who are not. That makes perfect sense. Ironically, my very first tattoo is my biggest and most detailed. The artist got a feel of me and decided there would be no problems doing it. It has been featured in magazines. 18 years old me went big, and at 30, it's still my favorite tattoo. It's of Ganesh on my upper back, across my shoulder blades and down. I still want to add more Hindi gods, just haven't had the time or money yet. Posted this before, but here you go. Obligatory, not a tattoo artist, but I asked this of mine. He says he once had a guy want a tattoo under his thumbnail, like he was gonna rip the nail off, then come into the studio so he could get a tattoo that would eventually be protected by a new thumbnail. When I had just turned 18, I went to my local tattooist and asked for a sun and moon on my hand. He refused gently and said I should get some others tattoos first and then we can revisit. I'm very grateful now. I'm seeing a lot of stories of people refusing hand tattoos. Is there a reason to this? I'm assuming it's either due to the pain or that you can't cover it up for work. I'm guessing work, but I believe either/both. Not a tattoo artist, but mine turned a request down. I wanted to tattoo one of my nipples as part of a piece on my ribcage. I wanted to put sunglasses above the nip tip and raise around it to turn my nip into the sun for it. Fortunately, they knew me well enough to say, "Dude, you tried getting your ribcage done. Your nipple would be even worse, and it won't take the ink as well." I like the idea, but no mad respect to artists that keep it real like that. Respect for you for being reasonable in taking his turn down. Artists like these are my favorite. The ones who speak up for you and guide. I had an artist do a cover up of my first tattoo that I hastily got, trying to cover scars after I turned 18. The artist of my first tat didn't want to do it, but I didn't know. The store booked me with her. She did a terrible job. Wasn't what I wanted. And she tried to edit the script style I designed. The artist who did the cover up explained to me the best way to place tattoos. My first was sideways on my arm, and basically told me my first tattoo was such a bad idea, but he was so happy to cover it up with the Denver skyline and happy that I had been clean from sh for over a year. He always asked me how it was going and talked to me about my mental health when I came in for a session. Did anyone ever see Steve-O tell the story of the tattoo he got? It's so bad that the cover up, which features bestiality, is actually a distinct improvement on the original. Edit. Typo. To help the other people who are going to Google it. It was a cartoon of a man raping a baby. It's now a man raping an ostrich. Elephant dick. Like the guy's dick is the elephant trunk. I really doubt the majority of men would be able to handle the pain and just fuck. That I'm not trying to hold a dick for a few hours makes me think of this quote. Now, call me a prude if you want, but I don't think it's good policy for the Navy to hand over $1 billion piece of equipment to a man who has welcome aboard tattooed on his penis. I'm not an artist, but I witnessed a denial that has stuck with me. Guy behind the counter is bored, reading a magazine. Young couple walks in, both of them probably 18 or so, looking around all nervous. They go up to the counter and she says, "Hi." Without looking up from his magazine, artist asks, "Help you?" She tells him, "Yeah, I want to get back quote property of Buckley in all caps on my lower back." Silence. Painfully slowly, the artist closes his magazine and finally raises his head to look at them. Taking his time, he looks up the couple up and down, then asks, "And this winner right here, this is Buckley?" She kind of just stammered and nodded, and the artist went back to his magazine. "No, we are not doing that," was all he had to say. Considering the subject closed, the couple looked at each other, looked around, and just walked out sheepishly. Once they were gone, he looked over at me, realizing I had witnessed it all, and just said, "F***ing kids, man." They probably thought he was a total asshole, and they were right. But he probably also did that girl a favor in the long run. Not gonna lie, I got all the way to the end, and I'm still not 100% sure if this is a scene from an episode of King of the Hill or not. Laun? My manager's brother runs a tattoo shop, and if I remember right, they turned down a lot of young white girls when the anchor tattoo on the ankle with something like "refuse to sink" or some shit, because anchors are literally made to sink. Refuse to do the thing you were literally made for just doesn't have the same ring to it. I honestly think that whole trend is so funny, just BC, it's so f***ing stupid. My manager feels the same way, I think, because he got a tattoo on his foot that mocks the whole trend. Don't remember what it says exactly, but it's funny. It says "fuck" on it somewhere, and one day at work he took off his shoe and sock to show me. Definitely was not what I was expecting to see at work that day. I honestly don't get what's hard to understand. It's not a tattoo I have or like, but I have two thoughts about it. One is, if it is just an anchor, then the meaning is refuse to sink like an anchor. Like if someone had a skull tattoo would live forever above it. The other is, I've seen it a lot with a cut rope. So the idea is that they have cut the anchor and refuse to sink with it. I turn away anything with swazes, bolts, or other racist bullshit. I also ask what any symbols I don't know are, and confirm before doing them. I don't need some racist shit running people off. You know, I only realized that the bolts were the SS symbol. I just thought they were lightning bolts that the occasional dude had on his Harley or helmet. Lucky I never complimented those racist fucks on their choice of headwear. You've reached the end. You're a star. Destroy the subscribe button for more like that.